Welcome to another episode of Johan Explains. This time we're going to take a look at Simon Phillips' Pentangle. Before we start, let's talk a little bit about Simon Phillips. Some people seem to believe that Simon Phillips, well, he's a good drummer, he has played with a bunch of guys. Well, if you are one of those guys who think that, maybe you should think again. The man Simon Phillips, he's an absolute legend. He has played with, his catalog of artists that he has played with and the record, all the records he has played on is insane. Let me show you a little bit of it from Wikipedia. And this is just like a partial discography. He has played with a lot of artists. Everything from like Judas Priest and Michael Schenker, Mike Oldfield to Toto, of course, which he is known for, and The Who. But not only that, the best known commercial artists, he has played with all the jazz fusion legends as well. And he doesn't really stop there, because Simon Phillips, he is also an amazing composer and arranger. He writes beautiful music. My absolute favorite is the song Phantom Voyage. I will link to it in the description. It's from the same session as Pentangle, as we're going to talk about today. But Phantom Voyage is an absolute masterpiece. I just love it. It's so beautiful. So check it out. But it doesn't stop there with Simon Phillips. He is also a bit of a techie. He is an amazing engineer. He knows like everything about miking and miking setups and amplifiers and consoles and preamps and microphones. He knows like everything about everything. And when I look at interviews with Phillips, he comes off as an absolute just normal, humble, down-to-earth guy, which I really appreciate. He's not ever that guy. He's always seems to be like calm and collected and cracks a joke or two. And I don't know, the man is just fantastic. Something about his playing style. Let's say something about his style. He plays open-handed. And many drummers plays open-handed, but he does it in a very special way. He plays open-handed like this when he goes on the hi-hat. Let me see, like this. And when he change up to the right, he plays open-handed like this. And that's a bit special. I don't think it's unique, but it's very unusual. And what I heard from interviews with him is that he does that for ergonomic reasons. He has never had a drumming injury, which is common if you play a lot of drums, because he doesn't want to cross, because that's not natural for the body to do that. He figured this is much better for ergonomically speaking. So he learned to play that and comes natural to him. And it's a bit funny to see that when he does that. It's very unusual. He also plays very dynamically. He plays, he incorporates a lot of dynamics, even in his fills. There's a lot of soft touches and loud touches, and it makes it very dramatic and interesting. Okay, about Pentangle. I don't know how to say that. Pentangle, I don't know. But let's call it Pentangle. About Pentangle. When I first heard it, as usual, I didn't get it, and that happens a lot. When I get that feeling, I'm like, I need to understand this. I need to figure this out. And the first clue is, of course, the name, Penta. penta is 5, of course. So I started counting 5s, and then I got it. So let's listen to the main beat, because the main beat is what we're gonna discuss and talk about here. So I'm gonna play the main beat for you, and we can talk about it later. So here we go. So that is basically what he's playing. I know that he's playing more around this. He has more grace notes or ghost notes or whatever you want to call them. And he sometimes plays 16th note on the hi-hat, like that. But basically this is what he's playing. So this is what we're going to look at. So to explain this pattern that he's playing, Simon Phillips is playing, I'm going to use this little grid that I made. So let's look at what we have here. We have 5/4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the big bars here are the beats, 5 of them. And what we see is 1 bar or measure, whatever you want to call them. The red lines are then the missing 8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and like that. And the last black line here is the 16th note. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and so forth. And I have 4 instruments here. I have the hi-hats open and closed, and we have the snare and kick. And we're going to use the green dots here to put in the notes. So let's see how my Photoshop skills, if they are up to par here. So let's start with the open hi-hat. So I'm going to grab the green dot here. So the open hi-hat he plays those on the quarter notes. Those are the quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can just copy this little green dot and place it on all the quarter notes. Like that. 1, 2, 3. 4 and 1 more. 5. So we have the open hi-hat. Kind of unnecessary for me to kind of sing that, but I did it, sue me. Alrighty then. And then we have the closed hi-hat. And those appear on the 8th notes. So the basic pattern is like this. So it sounds tst, 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 like that. I don't know if you like my drum singing or not, but I'm doing the best I can to show you how this works. And some things might be working for you and some other things might not, but I'm doing the best I can here. So now we have tst, 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 like that. All right. Now comes the interesting parts, which is the kick and the snare. And I want to start with the snare. The first snare comes in a bit of a weird place. It comes not on a quarter note, it comes at 2 and on the 8th note. So 1, 2, and. There you have the first snare. So 1 and 2 and. All right, that's the first snare. And then we have another one. And this one comes at beat 5. on the quarter note. And I want to say something about that. I noticed that many drummers, when they play odd time, like sevens or fives, they place one snare kind of in the middle, 2.5 if you have 5, because then it kind of feels smoother. When the snare is kind of in the middle, it sounds not as odd, not as crazy for the brain to interpret. It sounds smoother. Another example is Smooth 7 with Annika Niles. You can listen to that. It's crazy how smooth those sevens are. And it's just because she places the snare in between quarter notes at a 2 and or 3 and, which makes it feels more even. All right, the kick. Here we go. The kick goes on the 1, of course. And here's the reason that I needed those 16th notes, because they do not land on any 8th notes. So here we have 1 E and a. There we have the second kick, which is a bit odd. And then we have the next, which comes not on the 3, because 3 is like a pause. And then we have on the 4. Then we have another one. This is the last one. And it goes on the 16th note. So the kicks, they have the same pattern, like that. But the distance to the snare is different. So we have another kick here, dot-guk pattern. But here, the second time it's dot-gupak. But the first time it's dot-gupak, more like that. So if we count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we need to place the snare 1, 2, and here, like that, and the kick, like that. So that's how it works. I hope this makes sense to you. So now we can go back and listen to it and see if we can like sing along and understand it. So we're back in Reaper and we can listen to the pattern again. But I'm gonna play you a metronome with a count-in 5 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there we go. Remember the pause, and then we can just follow along. Let's try it. Well, there you have it. I hope this makes sense to you, and that hopefully you learned something and you found it a little bit educational and entertaining. And as always, if you like my content, please hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.